I welcome you all to this session on refrigeration components. And today we'll start with the first component, that is compressor. And this is the part of unit number 5 of your syllabus. And students, as we all aware that this vapor compression cycle that we are doing, or the refrigeration cycle that we are using in day-to-day life, is mechanical vapor compression cycle. And the basic components of this vapor compression cycle or mechanical vapor compression cycles are compressor, condenser, expansion valve, and evaporator, right? And this cycle is divided into two parts: low pressure side and high pressure side. And on pH diagram also you can observe that you can plot this vapor compression cycle on uh, a pH diagram, which the 1 to 2 is the refrigerating effect, and compressor work is shown as 2 to 3. Yeah. And the mechanical components are the arrangement is like this. Now chiller. uh, a chiller is the word that is quite uh, okay general in HVAC industry, and you'll observe that this chiller is comprises of compressor, evaporator, condenser. Clear? So it is one package of all these four components that we discuss in this cycle. Clear? And this chiller is nothing but a mechanical device, or it is a machine which is used to remove the heat with the help of vapor compression cycle, or in some cases you may use vapor absorption cycle also. Clear? So chiller is you may say a refrigerating machine, but in a large generally in a large scale. And this chiller, the important again it works, we are interested in chiller which works on vapor compression refrigeration cycle. Clear? And along with the chillers you can observe that these cooling loads, these loads are nothing but your fan coil units in uh, for air conditioning purpose, or for cold storages. These works as a these are the evaporators. Actually the chill water is used to take a load from your refrigerating space. Clear? And here you can observe that cooling towers are also there. The cooling towers are used to cool the fluid which is used for cooling the refrigerant in condenser, which is shown here. Yeah, so the chiller, the complete package, and the one single loop of chiller is shown here. Next is, so as I told you, today we will discuss about compressors only. Clear? So compressor is very important component of mechanical vapor compression cycle, and it is considered as a heart of the refrigeration system. Clear? So that much important role that compressor has to play. So first role that compressor is doing, or the first thing that compressor is doing, so it provides the necessary increase in pressure of the refrigerant vapor. So as you can observe that the refrigerant which comes out of the evaporator, okay, which is the heat laden, which is also called as a heat laden gas. So that a refrigerant from the evaporator is then supplied to the suction of the compressor. uh, Suppose it is at 21 psi gauge pressure, so you may convert it into bar as 28 but sorry, 21 psi is approximately comes to be 1.2 or 1.3 bar. And this gas is then compresses to 169 psi, that comes to be approximately 10 bar. So likewise the pressure increase is total 148, means approximately, sorry, 10 uh, 148 psi means 10 bar, approximately 10 bar is the pressure rise, or you may say the compression ratio in the case is 169 divided by 21. So that it comes to be 10 approximately 10 bar compression ratio. Now, and the second role that compressor needs to play is the uh, it as a refrigerant pump. It works as a refrigerant pump to circulate refrigerant throughout the system in continuous cycle. So circulation first role is to increase the pressure, and second role is to circulate the refrigerant. Okay, that's why it is also called as a vapor pump. Now, this graph is of typical capacity and power for reciprocating compressors. I have taken this from ASHRAE handbook, and as you can observe that from x-axis, on x-axis it is the evaporating temperature. It is in degree Fahrenheit, and on y-axis it is the capacity in thousands of BTU per hour, and on y-axis on the right hand side it is input power in kilowatt. Clear? So the first the capacity curves are shown on at the top of the graph, and this is for R22 refrigerant with 10 degree Fahrenheit of liquid subcooling and 20 degree Fahrenheit of superheated vapor, and compressor runs at 1740 rpm. So this constant speed graph, and as you can observe that when it comes to capacity, for the moment just forget about this Fahrenheit scale. Clear? For degree you can say the 30 35 it comes to be 0. 32 is we know that 32 Fahrenheit is a 0 degree Celsius. So from 30 on right hand side it from 0 to gradually increase 0 4 2 4 6 8, and on this side it is in -1 -2 degree Celsius, right? So just let me take any example. Suppose 32 means at 0 degree Celsius. If your evaporator is operating at 0 degree Celsius, then the capacity you can observe that this condensing temperature 104 is approximately 40, then 50 60, that kind of increase is shown. So for 0 degree Celsius the capacity is highest. Okay, so low temperature and highest capacity, but power is also you can observe that power is shown here. So list, okay, capacity is more and power input is less. Okay, this is possible only when your condensing temperature is less. Okay, so for less temperature condensing, so condensing temperature is also playing a crucial role in the refrigeration cycle. The detailed discussion about this will be in condenser part that we'll take in next lecture. But what the point I need to highlight here is that the power input, the effect of various parameters on the power input, and ultimately that power input is nothing to compressor. So compressor uh, behavior or the compressor working is solely it depends on the various parameters. So one of the parameter is the condensing temperature, second one is the evaporator. So evaporator and condenser temperature plays a very important role in power consumption of the compressor. Next is multi-staging. Okay, I think everybody is quite aware of the compressors nowadays. So as far as compressors are concerned, so compressors, single stage reciprocating compressors are used for up to a certain pressure range, but above that you have to switch to multi-stage compressing, and the one of the example of two-stage compression is shown here. Okay, the same compression is now divided into two parts. First stage is 21 psi to 100 psi, and then 100 to 160. Why to do a multi-staging? So for multi-staging, if multi-staging is not done, then refrigerant gas which comes out of this first stage is too hot. Okay, and this increasing temperature of that gas may leads to it affect the the oil, lubricating oil properties, and this lubricating oil may get overheated. So overheated oil then turn into carbon and create acid in the system, and this compression ratio is also affected. Clear? So the compression ratio can be then this pressure rise you can divide into two parts, first stage and second. As you can observe that second stage is smaller than first stage. This The basic stuff is similar to that of air compressor that you learn in applied thermodynamics. So because of the multi-staging, you can have a low temperature or refrigerant in between, and which will definitely help you to increase the volumetric efficiency, and which may reduce the power, or ultimately it saves some work. Clear? So two-stage compound compression is generally done until the compression ratio exceeds 10 as to 1. So whenever you have to, your compression ratio requirement is exceeding 10 as to 1, then you definitely go for two-stage or multi-stage compression. And this is often experienced with low temperature freezing applications in commercial and industrial storage facilities. Okay, so for particularly the multi-stage compressors or two-stage compressors, you can observe for a very low temperature applications where compression ratio requirement is exceeding 10 as to 1. Now types of compressors. There are two types of compressors. First is positive displacement type, and second one is a dynamic type compressor. So positive displacement, so such type of compressors increase the refrigerating vapor pressure by reducing the volume of the compression chamber through work applied to the compressor's mechanism. Clear? So they are increasing the pressure by reducing the volume with the help of the compressor mechanism, like piston cylinder arrangement, with the help of piston and crankshaft. Okay, you are going to reduce the volume, and that will increase the pressure. In second, dynamic compressors. In case of dynamic compressors, they increase the refrigerating vapor pressure by continuous transfer of kinetic energy from the rotating member to the vapor, and followed by conversion of this energy into pressure rise. So in short, dynamic compressors increases the pressure by converting kinetic energy of the gas into pressure energy. Okay, so these are the positive and two basic categories. Next is positive. First, start with positive displacement compressor. So as I told you that the positive displacement compressors increases the pressure by reducing the volume. And positive displacement compressors there are lots of type of positive displacement compressors which are shown here. First is a reciprocating category, second is a rotary, and third one is orbiting type. Okay, so first, reciprocating type, we all aware of that is a single cylinder, multi-cylinder, linear, rotating or single shaft, twin shaft. So single shaft is again rolling piston, rotary vane, screw type, and twin shaft are comes in the category of twin screw. Okay, the single shaft is a single screw, and twin shaft is two screws, twin screw, sorry. And orbiting type is a scroll and trochoidal. So but scroll compressor is quite popular, that we'll see in a while. And in case of rotary, screw compressor is quite popular and widely used. And in reciprocating, of course, single cylinder and multi-cylinder reciprocating compressors are widely used. So this is the family of positive displacement compressors. Then the first part of positive displacement compressors is the reciprocating compressor. Reciprocating compressors are categorized by compressor housing and by the drive mechanisms. Okay, so in this lecture, I only discuss about the compress as the categorization as per the compressor housing only, not by the drive mechanism. But I'll tell you in a brief that as far as the drive mechanisms are concerned, there are two types: direct drive and open drive. Clear? And by in compressor housing category, in there are two type as per the housing categories. It is of two type. One is open, and second one is hermetic compressor. Okay, on the left hand side you can observe that open type reciprocating compressor, and on the right hand side hermetic compressor is shown. Clear? So open type compressor is again it's like a air compressor, very simple construction. Clear? and hermetic for hermetic compressor. So hermetic compressors are of two types. So these hermetic compressors refers to the type of housing the compressor is contained in. Okay. So as per the housing, as I told you, as per the housing, so for hermetic there is a special arrangement for the compressor is fitted inside the container. So these hermetic compressors are again divided into two types: fully welded and serviceable or semi-hermetic, or these are also fully welded or semi-hermetic compressor. So let us see first fully welded hermetic compressor. I think everybody have seen such type of hermetic seal compressor at your home also, which is used in domestic refrigerator. And in fully welded hermetic compressor, the motor and compressor are contained inside a single shell that is welded and is closed when a welded hermetic compressor is manufactured. So a compressor and motor are in a single shell, completely welded, and once it is manufactured, it is completely airtight and welded. And this unit is sometimes also called as a tin can compressor because it cannot be serviced without cutting open the shell. So in order to service or in order to disassemble this compressor, you need to cut the compressor. Okay, there is no other option for that. That's why it is also called as a tin can compressor. And characteristics of this fully welded hermetic compressors are: first, the only access to the inside of shell is by cutting the shell that I already told. They are only open by very few companies that specializes in this type of work. Otherwise, unless the manufacturer wants the compressor back for examination, it is throw away compressor. Okay, if there are very few companies that will service this compressor. Otherwise, if there is a malfunction or compressor fails, then it is a straightforward throw away compressor. Third is the compressor shaft and compressor crankshafts are on one shaft. That we know that because motor and compressor are in a single container, so they are mounted on one single shaft. Okay, so these two views, these two figures. First is hermetically welded compressor is shown, total assembly, and on the right hand side you can observe a cut section of the this fully welded compressor. Then serviceable hermetic compressor. These compressors are quite widely used in the industry. As the name suggests, it is a serviceable hermetic compressor known as a semi-hermetic. Okay, so it is famous with the name of semi-hermetic compressor, where motor and compressors are contained inside a single shell that is bolted together. Okay, now compressor and motor are again in the single shell, but they are bolted together, and this unit can be serviced by removing bolts and opening the shell at appropriate place. Yeah, and following are the characteristics of these hermetic semi-hermetic compressors. First is unit is bolted, so you can easily repair and service by just unbolting the cap and then by removing the gasket or by separating the gasket. Then second, housing is normally cast iron and maybe a steel housing fastened to cast iron compressor. They are heavier than welded type could because of their capacity is also more, so they are heavier than welded type. And motor and crankshaft combinations are similar to the motor and crankshaft in fully welded type, except that crankshaft is usually horizontal. That is the change. The location of crankshaft is horizontal, not a vertical, as in case of welded type. Next type, positive displacement type compressor is the rotary screw compressor. This rotary screw compressor is another mechanical method for compressing the refrigerant. It is used in large installations, and instead of piston and cylinder, this compressor uses two matching tapered machine screws. Okay, so you as you can see in this diagram. Okay, two machine tapered and machine screws, two screws in generally these screws are called as a, one is male screw, one is female screw, and these male and female screws are then rotate, and while rotating, the pockets between these two screws squeezes the refrigerant vapor, and as the moves, as it rotates, the refrigerant which is trapped inside this, as shown in first diagram in pink, the refrigerant vapor is then sucked in this pocket, and then it is compressed in the second diagram, and in third diagram shown in red, the high pressure refrigerant is then uh, thrown out of the outlet. Okay, so such type of compressors are the rotary screw compressors, and they are operating pressures on the low as well as high pressure sides, and uh, in most of the cases these screw compressors are used to replace the reciprocating compressor because of their some inherited advantages, like less friction than the reciprocating compression, less maintenance, and good part load performance is also uh, quite good. Yeah, so such type of compressors are used in a refrigeration industry after reciprocating compressor. Now third is the type is scroll compressor. So the concept of compressing gas by turning one scroll against another around a common axis is the principle of the scroll compressor. But this scroll compressor technology is not a new one. Okay, it is quite old technology, and the scroll type compressors has been around 100 years before they have actually invented, but they did not find its commercial value and cost effectiveness until unless few couple of years back. And right now there are lots of industries are now showing interest, and lots of refrigerating machines are using these scroll compressors because of these compressors are having fewer moving parts. That's why they operate quietly compared to the reciprocating, their counterpart is the reciprocating compressors. They are reliable, durable, and less noise and higher efficiency. This is also the important feature of this compressor, and that's why they are now gaining popularity, and they are replacing the hermetically sealed reciprocating compressors in residential and air conditioning applications, means in for small capacity applications. For they are used in application, they are, as I told you, they are used in walk-in coolers, then distributed refrigeration systems, service ice cream machines, frozen carbonated beverage machines, in cryogenics, also in magnetic resonance imaging MRI machines, or in some dental applications. So in small refrigeration applications, the scroll compressors are now gaining popularity. Then working of this scroll compressor. So the scroll at the bottom of the slide, you can observe two scroll. The first scroll is the fixed type scroll, and the second scroll is the rotating one. Yeah? So fixed scroll is always fixed, it will not or rotating, and the second one is actually rotate with the help of motor. Okay, and in the first, gas enters at an outer, which is shown in blue. Okay, the gas enters an outer opening as one scroll orbits the other. Okay, as I told you, the one scroll is always fixed, which is red in this case, and blue scroll is continuously rotating. The first, during suction, the refrigerant is taken in. Okay, and as the scroll moves, this blue scroll moves, and the blue reds is fixed one. So the pocket generated between the scroll is compresses the refrigerant continuously, and finally it is then thrown out from this eye. Okay, this is called as eye, through which refrigerant is then high pressure vapor or refrigerant is thrown out. Okay, and in actual operation, continuously at each and every step where refrigerant is present, that's why actual diagram looks like this. It is filled with the refrigerant because each and every pocket is sucking and then compressing the refrigerant. So this is the scroll type compressor. Then modulating scroll compressor. The modulating means you can change the capacity with as per your load. Yeah? So on this right hand side, you can observe that this modulating compressor is working at this compressor is working in two steps. One is 100%. Suppose your load is 100%, so you can operate the compressor at 100% capacity. If your load is low, then you can reduce its capacity from 100 to so in this case it is 67%. So because of that, your power consumption is also reduced. Because of less capacity, you can run compressor at less capacity. So this feature is also available with the screw compressor. Next type of dynamic type of compressor is the centrifugal compressor. So centrifugal compressors are also called as the turbo compressors. They belonging to the family of turbo machinery that includes fans, propellers, and turbines. Now, dynamic machines, as a dynamic machine, they continuously exchange angular momentum between a rotating mechanical element and steadily flowing fluid. For effective momentum exchange, their rotating speed must be higher, but little vibration or wear results because of steady motion and the absence of contacting parts such as a piston and vane. So, the important feature of this compressor is the little vibration and wear because of the rotating uh, motion, as it is a turbo machine. So, it's because of the rotating motion, less vibration, less wear. That's why more life. So because their flows are continuous, have greater volumetric capacity than positive displacement devices. Of course, this type of compressors are continuous discharging type, and that's why they are used for very high discharge rates. The suction flow ranges from very few 0.03 meter cube per second to 15 meter cube per second, and speed is between 1800 to 90,000 rpm. So very large capacity you can cater. So, however, the high angular velocity associated with low volumetric flow establishes a minimum practical capacity for most centrifugal applications. Clear? So, this is one of the disadvantage. That's why for low capacity applications, you will not go for centrifugal compressors. They are well suited for air conditioning and refrigeration applications because of their higher pressure ratios, and that's why they are possible candidate to replace reciprocating and other rotary type compressors in a very large air conditioning application. A suction flow enters the rotating element, which is impeller, axially and discharge radially. Okay, so as centrifugal pump work, likewise, suction is from axially and discharge is radially. This is how centrifugal compressor works, and this is the layout of centrifugal compressor. And as you can observe that at this center, the motor is here and impeller blades are shown here. So this is centrifugal compressor, and on the top, as it is the diagram or cut section of the chiller. So this compressor is fitted with the condenser at the top and evaporator at the bottom. Evaporator chill water in and out, and at the top condenser water in and out, and this compressor is in between. So this is the typical layout for centrifugal chiller. Then the centrifugal compressor also comes in the multi-stage capacity. So multi-stage chiller is shown with multi-stage centrifugal chiller. So where, as you can observe that the compressor, there are 3-4 different impellers are shown here. Okay, and they work similar to that of multi-stage reciprocating compressor. You can have a multi-stage centrifugal compressor also. Then compressor comparison. So as you can you just refer this figure. So this figure is about on x-axis volume flow rate, and on y-axis it is a temperature lift, and on the right hand side pressure ratio. So as you can observe that volume flow rate for screw compressor and reciprocating compressor, their capacity is near about same irrespective of the volume flow rate. Nearly a straight line you can observe for reciprocating and screw compressor. Very little variation in the volume flow rate. But in case of centrifugal compressor, as your volume flow rate is very much dependent on your temperature lift, as well as your little change in the volume flow rate may result into temperature lift and pressure ratio. Clear? So it is very sensitive to volume flow rate, and or vice versa. If your pressure ratio changes, volume flow rate is changes. So that is only the disadvantage. So that why you have to uh, very critically design this chiller with the centrifugal compressor, because little change in volume flow rate may change your pressure ratio and may change the capacity of your refrigeration capacity. So positive the comparison with the positive displacement compressors are constant volumetric flow rate as shown here. The constant volumetric flow rate, the equipment operate near its design capacity regardless of condition. As I told you, the little deviation in screw as well as reciprocating compressor shows that the equipment is operating near its design capacity. And centrifugal compressors, as I told you, they do not have a fixed volumetric flow rate, and the capacity can vary over a range of pressure ratios. And this tends to make centrifugal based equipment much more application specific. So where your load is not varying or pressure ratios are not quite varying, so uh, where you employ centrifugal compressor. So there are certain disadvantages associated with it. Then comparison with the various compressors, as you can see, the equipment type is various compressors. uh, then positive displacement compressors at the top with COPs gives you the quite high COPs of 2.834 clear. And screw compressor and scroll gives you also little higher than the reciprocating compressor. And the centrifugal compressor, you can observe that more than 150 tons of capacity or more than 300 tons, their COP goes beyond 6 maximum. For 300 or more tons you will get 6.1 COP, so that quite high. And with compared to the absorption chiller, as the absorption chillers are shown here, I will just brief you about that COP. So for absorption chillers also you can have a COP of 0. 0.6, 0.7, and for double effect absorption chiller that goes to 1, max to max 1. So this little COP for absorption. But as far as our topic is concerned, you can observe that with centrifugal chillers you will get higher COP, but the limitation is these are the very application specific uh, compressors or the chillers. So for small capacity you have to go for screw or the reciprocating compressor. Clear? So for right now, quickly in a minute I will show you one chiller manual. So this is a chiller manual for the Daikin industry, and these Daikin centrifugal chillers for Daikin Industries are shown here. This is the complete assembly of the Daikin chiller, centrifugal chiller. So this centrifugal chiller, it comes in various capacities. As you can observe that this is a water cooled chiller, and it starts from 30 to 200 tons to maximum capacity of 1200 to 2100 tons. So lots of variations or lots of models are available with different capacities. What I have to highlight is uh, the refrigerant. They have compared the two, HF3 134 and HCFC, hydrochlorofluorocarbon 123. So we all know that the difference between 134A and hydrochlorofluorocarbons, they are environment friendly. R134 is environment friendly, and there are certain some other mechanical advantages also. So as far as the centrifugal compressors are concerned, this stall and surge at part load is the problem. But nowadays with the movable geometry, this problem is removed. So surge means again your refrigerant comes back, okay, to the impeller, and so it may damage your impeller. So that problem is removed with the variable geometry. Let me show you. Okay, so this is the filler. You can refer. I will share this diagram with you. You can refer this and find out the various important parameters as far as centrifugal compressor is concerned. So with this I conclude today's session. If you have any query, please leave a message. Thank you all.